This is Jackets Debrief, a show about the Columbus Blue Jackets, the National Hockey League, and part of the Hockey Podcast Network. Welcome everyone to today's show. It's a good day. It's weird because here we are, it's the week of Thanksgiving, which I hope everyone out there stays safe and has a great Thanksgiving. However, you're going to celebrate it, whether that's, staying at home and just watching some football, or you're binging a show, or maybe you're, cooking a big turkey all for yourself. Who knows? But whatever you're doing this Thanksgiving, be safe. Take care, and I hope it's a great one for you. But it's a good Sunday. For those of you who've listened to the show for any length of time, I'm a Browns fan. That team is 7-3. Back going to the first game of the season when they just got thumped by Baltimore. If someone had told me that they'd be 7-3 here going into Thanksgiving, I would be stunned. But there's a sadness because I always associate Thanksgiving with. I don't always associate it with it, but I have that. Yeah, you know how people say things like, "Oh, well, who's a real playoff contender by American Thanksgiving," which isn't really a good saying because it's not exactly true. But it's when they say that now, I'm like, oh, it's Thanksgiving, and we still don't exactly know when the hockey season is going to start. And there's rumors coming out now, and there's stories coming out, but we'll see where it goes. Now, I'm starting as I normally do with the beer of the week, and I have a confession. This is the first beer of the week that I'm not looking forward to. And it's already a beer that I'm okay with it at times. It is a Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale, but this is Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Peppermint Porter. That's what we have here, folks. Bourbon barrel beer has always been a little sweet to me, so I'm not the biggest fan, but that peppermint, I am just not overly enthused about what I am about to drink, but this is what happens when you keep trying beers. According to their website, warmed up this season with a special release of Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Peppermint Porter. With just the right amount of chocolate and peppermint, this bourbon barrel aged porter is the perfect complement to a warm fire. Notes of bourbon and toffee complement the roasted malts in the brew, and the result is a peppermint patty cocktail in your glass. 8.2% alcohol. Oh boy. Here we go. Let's try this bad boy here. It's the color of a winter beer, so that's not a bad thing, but whew. Yeah, it's that is strongly peppermint. My goodness. Oh wow. All right, yeah, let's see how this goes. That is. Oh, what in the. Oh, geez. So I don't know what they did. You get that scent of peppermint in it, and you more smell it than taste it, although you kind of can pick it up on the edges of your tongue. But it might be that there's so much sweetness trying to happen in this beer that, man, does it hit as bitter. I mean, let me try. It's not great. After a couple of drinks, it's a touch better, but man, it really hits as bitter there when you get to. Then you have the aftertaste of peppermint. Not great. I mean, maybe if you like sweet beers, maybe, if you can pick up one somewhere, do it. If you really want to try it, it wouldn't be my recommendation at all. I'm not even sure if that would go with anything. I'm not sure what. That's just not great. I'm not a big fan of that. Wow, I can say that conclusively. That is the first real beer I've had on this show that I am just out and outright against. I don't know what it is about it. I mean, I do know what it is about it. It's that weird sweet, and then there's that weird bitterness that creates, and that is no good. That is not something that I enjoy at all there. Not a fan. Anyway, moving on to real hockey news of the week. The one real Blue Jackets note I got out of this week. There's a story there by Tom Galletti from NHL.com. He did a quick sit down with the Jarmo Kekalainen. And the one real word of note was when asked about Pierre-Luc Dubois, he said, we've been in this situation before where we've had RFAs that want to take their time to agree on a contract, and we respect that, and they have that right, Kekalainen said. But I'm confident he'll be signed before training camp starts. What I've been saying for a while now is some people have been worrying about the Pierre-Luc Dubois situation is as long as he is signed by training camp, I'm not worried about it. It sounds like Jarmo's thinking that's going to happen. I think it's that situation of when you have time, take it. It's the same we've been saying on the show for a while now, because right now he does have time. We don't even know when the season's starting. I mean, as of right now, my guess is they'll have to give the players at least 2 weeks notice to get back into the States and everything. I think Dubois is still in Columbus, so I don't think Dubois is going to have a hard time once it kind of gets down to the nitty gritty that you got to make a deal that he'd just be able to do it pretty easily there. So I'm filled with a little bit of confidence after that. So that's good. I think that's a good sign of what's going on there. All right. So we're going to have a quick word from one of our sister shows here on the Hockey Podcast Network, and we'll come back with this week's guest.
Did you know that your favorite band also loves your favorite hockey team? If you love hockey and you love music, you're going to love Bar Down Breakdown, a podcast that explores the crossover between alternative music and the sport we love, hockey.
Every NHL player wants to be in a band, and every band guy wants to be in a pro athlete.
With guests from all over the globe, come along with us as we interview some of the most captivating names in alternative music and talk about why we love hockey and how it's influenced us.
There was for a few seconds I thought like, well, maybe we should wear Montreal jerseys, and the NHL was like, I think you should stay neutral. And we're like, yeah, you know what, you're probably right.
So tune in every Tuesday on the Hockey Podcast Network, where we'll have a brand new guest and a unique look into the bridge between hockey and music.
And everyone, welcome to the show from Dobber Hockey Prospects, Dave Hall. How are you doing today, Dave?
I'm doing great, thanks. How you doing?
I'm doing real well, thanks. So it's been a few weeks since we spoke. Not a whole lot's changed. I mean, we did have the Domi trade, I think, in the meantime there, but you and me kind of chat about that off air at different times.
Yep.
So something I wanted to run by is something I've heard now that we're starting to get more people talking about the season starting and all that. There seems to be this consensus starting to form that the Blue Jackets didn't really get better this offseason, and I'm not sure about that. What do you think about that? Do you think they're a better team now than they were end of last season?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, like you said, we spoke about the Domi, even I think it was like a day before it happened or something, a couple days before it actually happened, and I think Domi definitely makes them better. I also think the addition of Koivu will really help that middle as well. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see why not. There was a couple moves on the D that I didn't in particularly like, but I understood why they had to do it. Like guys like Nudivara. I thought Nudivara was a real solid, second pairing, third pairing guy for them. Could play the right hand side. I don't know. I think overall, I don't think they got worse or better. I like that Andrew Peak or Gabriel Carlson might get a better chance this year with those options out of the way. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of, to be honest, it's been like that for a lot of teams where it's just kind of been like, it's been an off season. Nothing really positive, nothing really negative. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, and in one of those analysis I saw, somebody was essentially saying, "Hey, you gave away essentially a second pairing guy in Ryan Murray," but I mean, the Blue Jackets have a strong second pair without Ryan Murray between Gavrikov and Savard.
Totally.
And there's just this weird, in my mind, the reason I think they're better, and again, all this can change if they have anywhere near the injuries they did last year. That may derail the whole thing. Yeah. But I see in my mind, it's okay. You addressed a weakness you had. You've got stronger forwards than you had last year, and you traded who are probably Ryan Murray, if you're talking about him, I mean, you could have, on last year's team, he was anywhere between the 3rd to 5th best defenseman on the team.
Yep.
The Marcus Nudavara deal, as much as I like Nudavara, I don't think you're having a big step down if you maybe have Andrew Peeke in the lineup more. Maybe you do a little bit, but I don't think it's think it's too big a deal there. Yeah, and I'm feeling pretty decent about where this team is. Now, I know that as far as your opinion, because I know we all hear and read 100 different news sources on this stuff. I mean, do you think they're going to be able to pull this off by trying to play January 1st? Do you think we're still in?
Personally, I don't think January 1st will happen. That's just me personally. Just based on the timeline, and especially now with the news of the players not necessarily agreeing with what they've been offered. But that's not to say I don't think January is out of the question. I just don't think January 1st is technically the date. Like I could see a mid-January, potentially even a little bit later January. I don't know. There's too many things going on. That's just over a month away. We still have to have people come back. Like I know there's been a few players that have already returned, but we still got Emil Bemstrom playing over in Helsinki, and they got to make their way over and do their 2-week quarantine plus training camp. I don't know. I just see January 1st to be a little bit too soon, but I could definitely see a January.
Yeah, I mean, if everything goes off without a hitch from the day you announce to the puck drop, I mean, being a month would be a tight squeeze. So I can see what you're saying there, because it just, like you're saying, the guys who are in Europe currently, them having to get back over here, do the quarantine, do everything else, along with the NHL having to figure out everything else they're doing. Now, my guess is they probably have 3 or 4 schedules already drawn up, ready to go, just based on who knows what we see. But my guess is you might even see the team trying to push back another 2-3 weeks, because it sounds like we're starting to get good news on a vaccine. I almost wonder if they're going to try and even push back a little more, saying, "Hey, the sooner we can get that, the sooner there's widespread use of the vaccine, we might be able to get more fans and stands in places." So I could almost see them pushing back because of the vaccine news.
Yeah. I also know that I'm pretty sure is July 15th was their set date to finish, just because of the Olympics. And so I just don't see them going 40, games in the 40s. I feel like they have to get at least 56 in to make it worthwhile. So I don't know. I just don't see if it's going to be pushed back to February. I just personally don't see how it's even possible. That's just me, of course, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna get tight. I mean, it's not good in any way you look at it. I mean, obviously you don't want this situation going on, but we're getting to the point of we either need to start hearing something soon, or you're going to start questioning if the season's going to happen. I mean, January 1st, probably Thanksgiving's about as late as they could announce trying to push for a January 1st start.
Yeah.
At that point, we're talking, like you said, probably January 15th. Because once you've missed January 1st, I mean, maybe you go the 10th or the 15th or whatever, but there's no magical date out there after January 1st. So
yeah, definitely not. I just feel like, they're going to plan all this stuff and they have all these contingency plans, but I almost feel like maybe the best way to go about it is just to go and do it, live it, and then kind of, MLB did it. I mean, MLB is not the greatest, way to look at it, but, at least just go with it and then take on whatever happens at the time. You know what I mean? Just at least get the season going.
Yeah. I mean, because that lesson of, you gotta, at this point, you've got to build in some elasticity for yourself, some ability to roll with the punches. Because the NFL, they've put in a contingency now where if for some reason the whole season isn't played, there will be an automatic expansion of the playoffs.
Right.
So that teams who, might have not gotten to play. So if we have some teams at 16 games and some teams at 15, a team won't miss the playoffs because they only got 15 games in.
Yeah.
Which I mean, little ideas like that. Now, baseball did a lot of rescheduling, but I mean, I could see, NHL. I've heard people say things like they're just going to build in a blank 2 weeks at the end of the season that they could add into. But that I see a lot of wisdom in that at this point, because if you're going to play, you don't know what's going to happen.
Totally. Well, and that's the other thing too. Like if you start to, you got, like you just said, you got to give yourself some wiggle room at the end. So, starting in February, where are you going to fit those games in? I don't know. It just seems crazy. At this point, you're going 4 games a week, at minimum. And it just, I don't know. The further it goes, the less I think it's going to happen. But I don't know. I'm still hopeful, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I think we could still get a season tantamount to, something relatively close to like what we saw the last time there was that half season lockout. I mean, we could get at least something like that. And maybe they make a last minute change and go, hey, yeah, the season will be shorter, but maybe we'll do an expanded playoffs like we did last time, something different. I mean, that, again, having another year that we all know is going to be weird, I think we can all live with if we get some kind of hockey season.
Just a little bit of hockey.
Man. At this point, my life is beer, football, and playing Xbox. So I mean, it's not. I mean, you can only wait so long for this.
At least there's been some good NCAA games on. That Michigan team is fun to watch. If you haven't checked them out, I'd highly suggest watching them.
Michigan is a constant. For at least in the Harbaugh era, it has been a constant source of fun for Ohio State fans.
Yes,
to just see, because even when they win, it's like, oh, okay, good for them. They won one. That's nice. And I will say I've always been an Ohio State fan that kind of wished Michigan. I want Michigan to be great. I want the game at the end of the season, because I remember years ago when I was in college, it was Ohio State, Michigan, and they were 1-2.
Right.
And in my mind, I want that every year. I want those two to be the best 2 teams in the league. I'm surrounded by Buckeye fans who want Michigan to be terrible, but I want Michigan to be good. So I want them to be able to compete with be a team that has a chance at the playoffs and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, and you know what? I might have upset some people. I realize I'm over up here in Canada, so to me the rivalries aren't even. I just watch the games. Anyways.
Yeah, no, when you're down here, it's something you, especially in Ohio, man, it's something you live. Like
how dare I even say Michigan then?
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. You're not from here, so it's not as big a deal. But it just, when you're in, like, I remember growing up, literally, and this is one of the reasons I love that Ohio State just keeps beating them over the last few years. Every year at school, like when you're in elementary, all week, there's decorations up. There's all this stuff that's beat Michigan and all this stuff. And when I was a kid, if you don't know the history of college football, Ohio State had a coach named John Cooper, who in 11 years went 1-9-1 against Michigan. So like my entire childhood, we could not beat Michigan.
Yeah.
And it just sucked. So now that we do beat them, seems like every year it's a fun turnaround.
Yeah, for sure.
And as a segue into fun turnarounds, let's talk about these retro reverse jerseys. I love the sigh.
Yeah.
So we'll start with it this way. Are there any that you like?
Yeah. So, and I'm actually kind of surprised because I don't like anything about the LA Kings, but I actually really like LA's. Yeah, I know I'm a fan of LA's. I just think that they can actually pull off the purple, and I like that they went with the Kings logo rather than the crown. I don't know. I just like the look of that one. Even though it looks like Subway sandwich, I don't mind the Minnesota one either. What's the other one I liked? I love the Whalers jerseys, but I don't actually like that they went with gray with this one. But the originals, like the green ones that they were wearing last year, I loved, but those aren't that bad. But other than that, and I do like St. Louis's, surprisingly. I just love that jersey, the old school one that they wore last year. I just think that's a great jersey.
With the red, you like it with the red?
I'm not really sure why. I'll be quite honest, but I don't really necessarily like it just by looking at it. But I felt when they wore a jersey like this last year, when they were on the ice, it looked good. That's
Fair enough.
That's just my opinion. But other than that, I don't know. There was some where I just felt they were trying way too hard.
So the ones that I was a fan of, I really liked the Minnesota one.
Yep.
I mean, maybe it's something about it being the old North Star colors. In my mind, that looks better than what they wear normally.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's a better color scheme for them.
I love the logo too. I think that's my favorite logo, to be honest. Like once you actually like look at it close, it's a great logo.
I think it works a lot better with those colors too, because you have the green trees, you've got the the night sky there, and the moon and all that. I think it works better with those. As much as it's diving into 90s kid nostalgia, I do like the Calgary Flames one with the goofy horse, Blasty.
See, the only problem with that one is, as West Coaster, Vancouver, born and bred, that's basically just the Canucks jersey with a horse on it.
Well, this year the joke seems to have been how many players from the Canucks can the Flames get. So I mean, they took the jersey too.
Now they've fully transitioned. Jersey now, yeah. Oh, the Ducks. I don't know.
Out of that group, I like the Arizona one. I like it.
Yep, for sure.
I like it. Again, it's more kind of kitschy fun. I don't know if I'd want this to be a full-time thing for him, but I like it.
I don't know how it's going to look on the ice, but
yeah. New Jersey going back to the red and green.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I do like that one for sure. The Islanders, that one makes me laugh.
It's like, it's one of those things. I don't know if you've ever, whenever you watch a reality show, and it's one of those reality shows that they're like, oh, somebody has to be a fashion designer, somebody has to bake cakes or whatever. Like, there's times where you'll watch it and it'll be like, hey, that person did a good job, but they didn't really follow the rules of the challenge.
Yeah.
That's what the Islanders did. Like, the Islanders' original jersey is good, and that's pretty much what we've got here. So it's not
maybe a darker shade of blue, maybe?
I think that's all that it is. I think their regular jerseys are lighter blue and this is darker.
What's even more of a slap of in the face is the next day they put out all this swag that was all the fisherman stuff, which is what all the fans wanted anyways.
Right.
And
like,
so they make the jersey, but now you could buy the toque, you could buy the backpack.
In my mind, if you're the Islanders, you pull the Flames, you buy into the kitsch, and you do the fisherman just in the regular orange and blue.
For sure.
Because they also did a weird color thing with the fisherman where there was like a teal, it was just weird and awkward.
And it was like wavy at the bottom.
Yeah. I mean, just use the fisherman as the crest. You could leave the rest the same, and people would buy the crap out of that.
100%. Instead, they just rolled the exact same jersey out. Love it.
Yeah.
Very Lou Lamoriello of them.
Detroit's has got to be the most lazy attempt.
Yep.
At something.
Yeah, it's their practice jersey for sure, with a little bit of a silver trim, which is fine. I mean, the thing about Detroit is, like, one of my good buddies, he's a Detroit fan, and you can't really do much. There's no real retro, fitting for the Red Wings. They've always been the same, but I mean, yeah, this is just pure laziness, as you said.
Yeah. The two good ideas I heard about Detroit was someone said you could invert the colors of the logo, which, I mean, I guess that might look a little different.
Yeah. And
then someone said, hey, what if you did a real retro? Because for the first 2 years they existed, the franchise was known as the Cougars.
Yeah.
So just do a full-on rebrand with that jersey. Be like, yeah, we're going to be the Cougars for 4 games or whatever. We're going to wear these. And
fun fact about the Cougars, actually. So I actually live in Victoria, BC, and that's where the Cougars originally were from. And where I work, which is a rec center in a place called Oak Bay, exactly where I work is where the original arena stood, and they won their first Stanley Cup.
There you go. They could have given a shout out to their real roots with that jersey.
The Victoria Cougars. I like it.
Missed an opportunity. The Stars one,
you can't see the logo.
Yeah, when that's going to look awful on the ice.
Like, you can't see anything.
Because when you're on ice, fully lit, and you're on white ice,
Yeah, it
That's
makes
good.
no sense.
Yeah, and I've heard from some places they've been saying that they're going to like full white shorts, white gloves, white everything with this one, and it's just going to look like bad stormtroopers.
Yep. Ugh.
I don't know. Now, getting to the team that we discussed on the show, the Blue Jackets.
Yeah.
I mean, it's there.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's how it goes with most of these. Like, yeah, it's there. I don't love it. I don't hate it. Whatever. I do like the logo.
Yeah, I wanted to like this jersey. I wanted to like whatever the Blue Jackets did because in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get it and it'll be cool. And the more I look at it, I'm like, it's,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they could have. The one idea I heard on how to fix this that would have made sense to me was do this, but you could do that like two-tone blue from their third jerseys. And that might have worked. You have the light blue and the dark blue with the original CBJ logo.
Yeah.
That could be kind of cool. But I think the Blue Jackets fall into the same problem that like the Carolina Hurricanes do, in that they don't have that much of an interesting jersey history themselves.
Yeah.
So whereas the Blue Jackets just go with, the Hurricanes are like, hey, let's just twist the knife into Whaler fans. Let's just do that.
Yeah.
I
Which is
am
great. I love the Whalers, to be honest. I think those are one of the best jerseys of all time.
They're gorgeous jerseys. I love the Whalers jerseys. I am where these hit me, this one and the Colorado one, because the Colorado one everyone says they love too. And it looks good. I will grant that. But my my little soapbox on those is being an Ohio guy and remembering very well when the Browns were torn from Cleveland, I have a distinct dislike for teams moving. And so for a team that moves to then be like, hey, let's roll out this cool old thing from the old place we were that everybody loves, it feels like, I don't know, it feels like spitting on the grave a little bit. It's kind of this like if the Browns had never come back, if the Ravens had been like, oh, we're going to do a throwback and it's going to be the Raven head, but it's going to be an orange and brown now, and I'd have been ready to just hit somebody. I mean, that's
totally. One thing I don't like about it is I thought they were going to go to their blue. I don't know if you remember a couple months ago, Nathan McKinnon had a picture where he had a baby blue glove in his bag and hinted that there's going to be a new jersey. So you just kind of assume that the Nordiques was going to be, the usual blue. But yeah, anyways.
Yeah, maybe they'll wear the blue gloves with this jersey. I don't know. And I'm interested. Yeah. I'm interested to see if the league has already like got an idea of what the matchups will be when they wear these, because I mean, obviously some of them are road jerseys and some of them are home jerseys, because we've got a lot of whites and a lot of blue and a lot of color jerseys there.
Yep.
So, I mean, obviously the Blue Jackets one's going to be intended to be worn at home. Calgary at home. I mean, you just wonder who they have these planned for.
Yeah.
No,
that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And how often too? Like, are we going to get to see these things once next year, or
Right. I think I've heard them say like 3 or 4 times. Like each franchise will choose differently.
Sure.
Like my guess is Colorado, because the Avalanche put up something on their Twitter account that was actually like a heat map across North America of who was ordering this jersey. So I think the Avalanche realized they've got something people like, and they're going to play into it. So I'd expect teams like the Avalanche to wear it more.
Sure.
But
when they're in Montreal.
Well, the thing I gotta wonder about these. I lost it. Anyway, yeah, it's an interesting concept that I think some teams landed better than others. So
yeah, it's definitely we got nothing better to do right now. Let's come up with some sort of game plan idea.
All right. So what are you doing to keep your mind occupied with there not being hockey going on? Are you trying to stream in the European games?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, every day. Luckily, I'm working from home quite often, kind of half and half right now. So I every morning I'm tapping into the KHL, the SHL. Can't find Finnish games if my life depended on it. I can't really tap into the Liga games, but definitely I'm watching more KHL than I've ever had in my life.
I'm trying to follow some KHL because at this point, the 3 most exciting Blue Jackets that aren't in the NHL are all in the KHL. So
All leading U21 skaters as well. All 3 of them.
yeah, I mean it's something. I am very intrigued with how Yarmo is doing all of this. I mean, he just seems to. It's the old idea of if you can find somewhere that you think there's a market inefficiency, and it seems like he really thinks the inefficiency is people not willing to go after Russian players. And because when you draft a Russian player, there's that concern about, oh, is he gonna stay in Russia for another 2 or 3 years?
Marchenko being the perfect example.
Huh?
Marchenko being the perfect example.
Right, Marchenko is a great example. I mean, Gavrikov. There was a point a few years back where he came over to Columbus, and when he was having dinner, news broke that he had signed a 2-year extension in KHL before he left Russia. And I wonder if Yarmo has just made this decision of, I can be patient.
Yeah.
And if he's kind of got that confidence in, if he thinks ownership has that confidence in him, so he's just willing to kind of roll with it there.
Yep. I mean, he's done well. I mean, we've all seen what Marchenko can do now. Like, the kid's unstoppable right now, and Chinikov, he's quickly turned a lot of heads. I mean, I don't know if like I tried my best to pay as much attention to him and Marchenko and Vorikov, and I don't know, Chinikov. He that kid can shoot.
Yeah,
He's going to bring a lot of goals if he ever makes his way over.
I am looking forward to the. I hope whoever is running both CBJ social media and whoever is running in arena, like the video operations and stuff, is just preparing now a dozen different things with those clips from draft night where people were like, who's this guy? What's going on? Just because if he is good, those will be glorious. And I mean, the way it sounds like all of those people are going to have a great sense of humor because they all were just dumbfounded and had no idea who he was, it seemed, on draft night. So
yeah, everyone checking their notes.
Yeah.
That was great.
I still think the best line was Berkey doing the whole, he's a winger.
Yeah.
When they asked him if he left or right, he was like, he can play both.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
no, I've watched a lot of him, and I can definitely say that he's got to work on, obviously, a couple of his, defensive stuff. But overall, offensively, yeah, I can see why they reach for him. I still feel like they probably could have just traded down a bit to get him. But still, that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, there's that you have your theory of how you set up a draft board and how you use your draft picks, and it's like the fact of the pack, how much value is there in taking the guy I want here as opposed to trading down, maybe getting something more, and maybe I still get him, maybe I don't, who knows? But and the consensus, I've heard varying things in that. Some people have been like, yeah, you could have gotten him 2 or 3 rounds later. But apparently there's this idea out there that at least one other team had him in their top 30. So maybe you didn't. I don't know. If you think he's a difference maker long term, depending on your confidence level, maybe you just do it. But yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, the kid can shoot. So if you want goal scoring, he's definitely not a bad option.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And Marchenko, yeah, he's on another level. I'm really excited about him.
Well, and it seems to be. You kind of wonder how many of these players Yarmo's had in mind for a while, because he mentioned it was a year or two ago, right when they were still trying to see. I think it might have just been last year when they were still having the discussion about, is Panarin going to resign or what's going to happen here? And they were doing all the trades, and they asked him about, is the Jackets window closing? And he's like, I think our window's just starting to open. Because I think in his mind, he was thinking about all these, the Russians he had coming. He was thinking about PLD and Jones and Wenberg, or not Wenberg, obviously, Werenski. Wenberg, yeah, the ship sailed on that one. I wish him all the best in Florida, but it just wasn't working.
Nope.
And I look forward to all the Florida fans who are like, oh, when he shoots, he's great, because that's what it's been here in Columbus for years now. When he shoots, he's good. All the other time, but he doesn't do that. So.
Failed project.
So up in Canada, I mean, you guys already had Thanksgiving weeks ago now, back in early October. I mean, do you guys just turn on football during the day then, or like, hey, that's cool that this is on during the day?
Yeah, no, it's that's not really, we don't really watch a lot of football. I mean, hockey, if there is, like, depending on what day it is, for sure. But I feel like in Thanksgiving up here, there isn't. It's not like over where you are, where it's just it's football. That's football day. That's not really a thing here. It just Thanksgiving's Thanksgiving, and we focus on the turkey. And yeah, if there's hockey on or something like that, great. But yeah, it's a bit of a different vibe here.
Yeah. Here it's very much it feels more like it's the gateway into the Christmas madness.
Totally.
And there's good in that, and there's I mean, I'm sure there's some downside in that, because there's some people look past the holiday or whatnot, but there's this, I don't know, it's a holiday all on its own, and kind of a weird. I've always kind of enjoyed it because I like the idea of it's just a day where I'm just where essentially all that they expect of me is to eat and watch football. Nobody else expects more of me on that day, so I can just kind of relax and be like, this will be good.
Nothing.
Oh, there's 3 kinds of pie. I guess I'll try them all. So, well, Dave, it's been good having a chat. Have a good one. We'll hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yep, thanks.
All right.
We just finished a really exciting season of hockey here in Columbus, and the future is bright with all these awesome young players: Pierre-Luc Dubois, Alexander Texier, Liam Foudy, Elvis Merzlikins. But now you've got a new problem. How do you get jerseys for these guys? Well, we've got you hooked up. CoolHockey.com/THPN. And since CoolHockey.com doesn't outsource jerseys for customization like competitors, they're able to offer the best deals, best quality, and pricing and time on your delivery. So remember, when you need a new jersey, CoolHockey.com/THPN for our exclusive discount there. Remember to use the discount code THPN, CoolHockey.com/THPN. So I'm going to give this another try. This peppermint porter. Gosh. That's just not good. It's not good. On the other hand, I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. I recommend you don't drink peppermint porter when you have that Thanksgiving. I'm going to go drink a better beer to get that one out of my mouth. Again, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And hopefully the time I talk to you this time next week, which we do plan on doing a show this next weekend, even though it's Thanksgiving weekend. Hopefully by that time, maybe we have some clarity on when NHL season's going to start. But thank you all. God bless. Go Jackets. Please subscribe to the show, follow us on Twitter @JacketsDebrief, and thank you for listening.